Lemon Tree Hotels, which was started by Patu Keswani in 2002, is one of the first Indian hotel companies to enter the mid-market segment. The company owns and operates 21 hotels in 14 cities under its three brands: Lemon Tree Hotels, Lemon Tree Premier and Red Fox. Lemon Tree, which is the third largest hotel chain in India by owned rooms, got an investment of Rs 650 crore from Dutch pension fund manager APG in 2012. The company now plans to aggressively expand into more territories and aims to become the second largest hotel chain by owned rooms in the next 24 to 30 months. VC Circle caught up with Rahul Pandit, president of Lemon Tree Hotels, to understand how the company plans to move ahead in the future. He tells us about his immediate expansion plans and how he will execute them. He also talks about the biggest challenge in hotel industry at present, shortage of trained manpower, and how Lemon Tree has come up with its own innovative solution to face it.
So, can you tell me about the APG investment in Lemon Tree Hotels, and also tell me about the JV between APG and Lemon Tree Hotels?
Okay, the APG investment has happened at two levels in Lemon Tree. They have taken a minority, which is about 5% in the holdco, and then there is a separate JV at the asset co level, where the intention is to do about 8,000 rooms with APG over the next 3 to 5 years. And in the asset co, Lemon Tree has a majority, 51, and the balance is with APG.
How much money did APG invest, both separately, both for picking up stake in the company and for the joint venture?
It was about 650C.
Right. And what is the division of that 650 crore for picking up the minority stake and for the JV?
See, I won't have the exact figures with me right now, but let me say that of that total 650, that's all been deployed. And as I said, it is the beginning of the relationship. So as we are able to bring in more assets, APG is fully geared to deploy even more cash as we release more assets on the ground. Under this arrangement, where we actually develop an asset, and when we develop an asset, the value of that asset reflects the market value.
Right.
So we may be developing something which is to us project cost, let's say X. But when the asset is developed, the value is then the market value, which is, let's say, 3x.
Right.
So of that market value, then APG takes in 49, and Lemon Tree under that joint venture takes in 51%.
Okay.
So 650, think of it as only the seed or the start capital for this joint venture. So 650 does not, it's not a one-time investment.
Right.
So as we keep on adding more assets, as we are able to bring more assets into play, the contribution from both the partners then increases appropriately.
And the 650 crore that you have received, have you received all of it, or would you be receiving it in tranches?
See, it's actually for us to deploy, but it is for us to deploy as we get assets on the ground.
Right.
So we don't want to call on it immediately, because the moment we call on it immediately, we have to deploy it on the ground. So currently what we have done is, we have transferred 2 of our existing hotels, one in Hyderabad and one in Bangalore, to this joint venture, to seed the joint venture. And now we are looking at other assets across the country that we could deploy. It could be both organic and it could also be inorganic.
You've told me the longer pipeline that you have. How are you dividing that pipeline over the next three years?
Okay, let me tell you the big picture first. The big picture is that Lemon Tree Premier, which is our upscale brand, and Lemon Tree, which is mid-scale. If you ask me, over the next 10 years, there are about 54 locations in India that we can go to. So these are cities which essentially have a million plus population, SECE, and have airport connectivity now, or which is planned.
Okay.
Of these 54, about half is where we already have assets on the ground, or they are under development, which effectively means there are another 24 or so, which we can develop over the next 8 years or 7 to 8 years. So this is for Lemon Tree's premiers and Lemon Tree Hotels. Then over time you will see much more aggressive development happen in Red Fox hotels. Red Fox I'm just simplifying this. Two key filters that we've used has been, besides population, has been broad gauge connectivity.
Mhm.
So cities where the middle class or where India travels. So there we think we can go to 148 locations over the next 10 years. Broadly, if I look at the group, let's say another 7-8 years down the line, if I look at 2020,
Mhm.
then the aspiration is to say, can we get to 20,000 rooms which are asset owned? And another
Across the three brands.
across the three brands,
Okay.
and another 20,000 which could be managed.
Okay.
So effectively, over the next 8 years, be the dominant hotel player in the country,
Okay.
and probably also then be looking at adjacent geographies
Mhm.
where Indians constitute a majority of the travel inbound.
You're talking about the long-term expansion plan of Fleur Hotels, which is about 8,000 rooms by the end of 2016. So, is that only specific to Fleur Hotels, apart from Lemon Tree, or are you talking about
No, 8,000
both?
rooms is only with the Fleur. Now these 8,000 in the next 3 years,
Mhm.
a large part would be operating and some would still be under development.
Okay.
But as market conditions change, I can't give a ratio to say would it be 50 or 60.
Mhm.
There may also be inorganic growth opportunities.
Mhm.
Depending on the cycle that the market is in, there may also be acquisition opportunities. So there are lots of opportunities.
Fleur Hotels, the JV, will own the hotel rooms, the hotel assets. So when Lemon Tree already owns and operates the assets it has right now, what was the need for this JV? Why not a stake within the company to expand the company? Why the JV? Because even the JV will own hotels under the Lemon Tree brand.
Sure. See, the advantage of a JV with a pension fund like Fleur is that it gets us the market value. It enables us to unlock capital currently,
Mhm.
immediately.
Mhm.
So as I said, let's say if we do a hotel project which costs us X,
Mhm.
but the market value of that project is 3X.
Mhm.
So in that JV, that hotel asset which is now priced at 3X
Mhm.
comes to Lemon Tree at 51%.
Mhm.
So what it effectively means is that we still have 1.5x left to deploy further
Okay.
in other assets.
Mhm.
That 1.5x, if we leverage 1:1 also, it becomes 3x.
Mhm.
So using the real market value of that asset, not only do we retain control over one operating asset,
Mhm.
it releases enough capital for us to do another 3 assets.
Okay.
So it's a vehicle for us to do accelerated development.
Mhm. So there is no such plan as to Lemon Tree in the future turning into a holding company with different offshoots, Fleur owning hotels. You have a real estate arm also. So is there a plan of that sort in the future sometime?
See, the plan is eventually to say that we have, the business operates at two level,
Mhm.
at the propco and the asset co level,
Mhm.
and most of this will fructify in the next 24 to 30 months.
Mhm.
That's roughly also a listing horizon. So
Okay.
you are seeing some sort of that already happening.
Okay.
So with Fleur example, we are already able to unlock value,
Mhm.
the potential value of the assets. So it's not making us fully asset light,
Okay.
but it's ensuring that we can leverage the value of that asset
Mhm.
and put that value into accelerated development of new assets. And then the other joint venture, which is with Patu Keswani,
Mhm.
is to get into management. That's being totally asset light.
Mhm.
That's just taking the flag forward.
Okay.
Because in the last 10 years, it was critical for us to demonstrate the capability to build and execute assets to our specifications, which was necessary to create the brand
Mhm.
and also to get the right values growing.
Okay.
Now, growing organic would continue, but organic growth by itself is slow growth.
Okay.
So now the growth would work in tandem. So there would be organic growth,
Mhm.
and there would also be growth through management, which is essentially the asset light growth.
Okay.
And over time, as happens when hotel companies achieve that scale, then growth, then the flags are driven essentially on an asset light model.
Carnation Hotels, the JV that Lemon Tree Hotels has with Mr. Ratan Keswani, I know that Carnation Hotels will operate Lemon Tree Premier and the Red Fox. But there was also a development of a new luxury player coming in the country with Carnation Hotels. So what is the development on that?
See, there are a couple of possibilities. So Ratan's been speaking to these players who want to come on, but nothing is fructified till now.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Ratan's also been toying with the idea of doing a deluxe brand independently.
Mhm.
So let's see to say which opportunity seems clearer on the horizon.
Mhm.
So whether then Carnation will put in energies into doing its own deluxe brand,
Mhm.
or get an MNC brand to come in, or over the years then get pursue both.
Lemon Tree Hotels has got private equity funding in the past from Warburg Pincus. That was in 2006. Then Kotak and Shensi Bank in 2007. These investments must have matured by now. So, is there an exit route that you are making or you are planning for your investors, and which could happen sometime in the future?
Sure, as I said, in the next 24 to 30 months
Mhm.
is we are looking at listing the company.
Mhm.
So that would be one opportunity
Okay.
where the funds would be able to unlock value.
It has been there in the horizon for a while. So, why have you decided on 24 to 30 months? What is the objective vis-a-vis that?
See, essentially, two reasons looking at that kind of a scale. One is that we want the markets to be more buoyant.
Mhm.
Currently the market is still in a downturn,
Mhm.
and second is we are also waiting for our Bombay hotel
Mhm.
to get ready somewhere towards the end of next year or beginning of 15.
Mhm.
So then we can show presence in all key metro cities,
Mhm.
and also by that time we should have an operating inventory of about 4,000 keys
Mhm.
and 4,000 in the pipeline.
Okay.
So that should effectively make us the second largest hotel company by owned assets in India. So all of this will happen in the next 24 to 30 months. So that's what we hope.
For the long-term plan that you have, what kind of capital investment are you looking at?
See, for the long-term plan, just at the equity level, would be about 10,000 crores.
Okay. Just the equity level.
Just the equity, yes.
Right. And what about debt?
See, debt, could come in through different structures,
Mhm.
but I would say at a conservative level 1:1.
Okay. And the next 3 to 5 years, how much of capital investment have you earmarked?
We would want to earmark more. The issue is that there are not, at least now, not enough opportunities which are rightly priced.
Mhm.
However, having said that, I would say somewhere about 1,500 to 2,000 C is, if we have the right opportunities available, that's what could be deployed.
In the expansion plan that you're looking at, what geographical locations are you looking at?
See, currently, if you, interesting question. Currently, if you see the map of India,
Mhm.
and if you could bisect it into two,
Mhm.
we are effectively on the left. So we are north, west, and south.
Mhm.
So we will be more focused on the left of India, or the north, west, and south over the next 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
However, within the only place that we are looking very actively in the east today is Calcutta.
Mhm.
However, in the next 3 years or so,
Mhm.
the fulcrum will then start moving towards the right.
Okay.
And in the next 5, east or the right of India
Mhm.
would have equal opportunities as the left,
Okay.
because currently the economy is driven hugely by services, especially from where our customers come in from.
Mhm.
In the next half a decade,
Mhm.
India would start needing the mineral wealth, which is on the right of India.
Okay.
So not only would it lead to greater industrialization of the east,
Mhm.
it would also create many more service sector opportunities there, whether they be the banking and financial sector, whether that be infrastructure, whether that be education, whether that be media and entertainment.
Lemon Tree is on an aggressive expansion right now. So what kind of challenges are you facing while expanding? One is vis-a-vis raising capital, and the other is the challenge of expansion looking at the real estate cost right now, the shortage of trained manpower, the bureaucratic hassles to get regulations passed. So all of that, and how are you coping up with this?
Okay, interestingly, see, raising capital is not a challenge. I think capital, without trying to sound aggressive, I think the smart investors today see capital as a commodity. It's effectively a commodity, chasing the right business model which can give healthy and sustainable returns. So capital is not a challenge. However, as you said, there are a couple of big challenges. First is the entire macroeconomic challenge. Looking at the economy, looking at consumer demand, looking at capex investment, that is a big challenge. And I think that's a challenge for all industries. And in India, it is further compounded, as you said, by our statutory and regulatory framework, because that, instead of being an enabler, lots of times is is an effective disabler. So sometimes our statutory and regulatory framework in itself creates walls. That's what makes it difficult for people to do business with in this country. So other than the macroeconomic environment and the hassle of competing with an environment stroke a governance system which is trying to be a disabler rather than an enabler, the biggest challenge that we as an industry face is actually talent.
Okay.
So even though we have 1.2 billion people in this country, but there is a constant war on for the talent. So I'll tell you in a small measure what we are trying to do to address this. So we are trying to do two things. Firstly, we have a very aggressive talent framework where we put lots of capital in ensuring that processes that can be converted to capital or are not dependent on human beings are there, so that people are really there only to engage with and serve our customers right, which is our hotel guests.
Yeah.
So training plays a very big role in that. The second thing that I'm actually very proud of is our effort with employees who are hearing and speech impaired.
Okay.
So there are 75 million people in India who are disabled. About 12 million are hearing and speech impaired. So 5% of Lemon Tree today is employees who are hearing and speech impaired. This effort's been on for the last 3 to 4 years, and in the beginning, even internally, even our general manager said that, hey, we are putting in a disproportionate effort on training the hearing and speech impaired. But over time, it's gone to a level where earlier they were only in back of the house area. So they were tailors, gardeners, housemen. Today in 4 hotels, we are running an experiment in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai and Gurgaon, where they are front of the house.
Okay.
So they are serving in restaurants.
Okay.
So if you go to one of these restaurants, the menu besides the text also has numbers.
Right.
So you go to this restaurant, so this guy will come to you with a card. It says, I cannot hear or speak, please write your order. So you look at the menu, it is numbered, then you write your order 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
He takes that slip, goes to the kitchen, gives it to the chef and comes back with your order. So the amazing thing is that employees of this demographic, their service levels are as good, if not better, than the so-called able demographic. Their attrition levels are very low.
Okay.
And now that we have made a significant impact in going to people who have this disability, we are saying, can we start now addressing other disabilities?
Okay.
Where we are still structuring our concept to say, how can we go to those who have a visual impairment? Can we go to people who have an orthopedic impairment? So we have set ourselves an aggressive target of saying in the next 3 years, from the current 5%, excuse me, which is hearing and speech impaired, can we take that to 10%?
Hospitality industry is looking at the online space very carefully. So how are you using the online space to increase popularity of lemon tree hotels and also to attract customers to lemon tree hotels?
Okay, see, two things. In the beginning itself, we realized that online is going to gain greater traction of the market. So we were very focused on the space from the beginning. So over the last couple of years, we've actually about close to 20% of our business today comes from various online channels, including our website and different OTAs and the GDS. Whereas in India, online is still in late single digits.
Okay.
So that's one, and we are very clear, over time, online will lead to lots of intermediaries disappearing. So the intention is to, for the brand, also build up very strong online presence. So whether that's reflected in our website, but we also know many Indians, may go to the website, they still want to be serviced, by speaking to another person. So we have a call center to back that up.
Okay.
But otherwise, with all the leading OTAs, whether that be in India, which is Make My Trip and Yatra and Clear Trip, Travel Guru, or even Expedia or Travelocity or Orbitz or geography specific. So for Japan we have Rakuten, then for Asia we have Agoda, then we have Hotel.de for Germany. So similarly with all of these key players, we have very strong partnerships in these geographies.
Okay. Well, those are all my questions. Thank you so much, Mr. Pandit,
Thank you,
for
brother.
taking our time
Thank you
to speaking with us.